Hi guys, so today we will see the highlights of the game in World Chess Championship, which is between Ian Nepomniachtchi and Ding Legend. So this was the game 5, and right now the score for both the player is 2-2. So here the Nepo has white pieces and he starts the game with 1 e4. Ding responds with e5. Nepo plays knight f3, Ding knight c6, and Nepo goes for Ruy Lopez, which is bishop b5. Ding follows a6, Nepo retreats the bishop to a4, Ding plays knight f6, Nepo castles, and Ding plays bishop e7. Nepo plays d3, deviating from the game which he had played in the game 1 in this tournament. Ding played b5, Nepo played bishop b3, and Ding played d6, and Nepo here play c3, and Ding castles, and Nepo plays the move h3. So till now this is all the theory, nothing new. This position has been reached many times. Here Ding plays bishop b7. Nepo responds the move with a4. Ding plays knight a5, and here as we look in the database, there's a one game between Ali Reza Firouzja and Anis Giri where Ali Reza had played the move bishop a2. So I think Nepo and Ding both are following the game of the Ali Reza and Anish Giri here. So talking about the move, Nepo played bishop a2. Ding responds with c5, the most principal way to put pawns in center. Nepo goes for bishop g5. Ding plays h6. Here the Nepo's intention was to take the knight only, as the bishop on f6 will just sit like a pawn. So there's no point of that capture, or there's no point of the h6 move. Here the Nepo then clarifies the situation on the side of the board by a takes, b takes, and then he goes, which develops his last undeveloped piece, which is knight. So it comes to knight bd2. Then Nepo also retreats his knight, which is on the side of the board, from a5 to c6. Nepo goes for bishop d5. For the time being he is pinning the knight, but before he provides support to the knight, Ding first captures the rook on a1, and then he defends the knight, unpinning the knight for the moment. Then Nepo plays rook e1. So this move rook e1, knight bd2, c3, these moves are very much common in Ruy Lopez. So after that Ding goes rook a8. Nepo slides his king to d1, and for the time being till now the game was pretty balanced and all the moves were the perfect and were the best moves played. But here the first weird move of the game came, which is bishop d8. So obviously Ding was thinking like his bishop on f6 was a pretty useless piece, so he thought like he could transfer his bishop from f6 to b6, where he could eventually try to go then c4 and allowing this bishop to target the f2 pawn, and also the a file is pretty much open for the rook for the time being, so the rook could also join the attack from a2 and they both would target this f2 pawn. So thinking that, Ding played bishop d8. So Nepo goes knight f1, which is also a principal way in Ruy Lopez, and Nepo goes for knight e7, asking the bishop what it needs to do. Nepo takes and goes for knight e3. the point of knight e3 is the knight wants to keep an eye on f5 and d5 square simultaneously. If he would go on to knight g3, then it would be only possible to take charge of f5 square only. The d5 square would be unattended. Therefore he went to knight e3. Ding follows his plan of putting the bishop to bishop b6, and Nepo goes for h4. So what's the point of playing h4? So here you can see all of the four black pieces are pretty much in a good position, and the king is also safe. And on the other hand, the white pieces are not in a position to attack the black king immediately. So the best thing for black is to open the attack on king side by pawns. So to prevent the move g5 in future, Nepo played the move h4. Here queen came to c6 because the Ding might be concerned of the queen b3 move, which would attack the b5 pawn, and eventually the queen have to protect that pawn from c6. So it's basically allowing the white to ask question where he wants to put his queen now. So now putting the queen on b3 is quite useless for white for the time being. So after that, white plays h5. The move h5 not only prevents the move g5 by taking it on passo, also the knight have right now no active square for him. So if knight would come to g6, he would probably have a control on f4 square. So that might be a problem for white. So to prevent the knight from coming forward, he played the move h5, which is a very good move. Then black responds with the move c4 as planned, because the bishop was sitting there on b6, so it needs to be activated. But here Nepo goes for d4, and after the pawn takes, it's very much essential, like you don't take the pawn with the c pawn, as if you do that, it might be a bad thing for white, as these two pawns might be rolling down the board, and it would be a very difficult task for white to stop them. So it is very much advisable to take with the knight. Also it would attack the queen, and for sure black doesn't want to give his bishop in this position, as the bishop have much more thing to attack and rather than the knight at this point. So the queen has many great moves like queen b7, queen d7. But here comes the second mistake of Ding when he played the move queen to c5, as it does not immediately lose to anything, but it gives the white opportunity to bring his pieces to the king side, as if he would have gone to queen d7, it is very much a flexible square, as the queen is keeping the eye on the king side also, so that any of the white pieces won't come in this territory, and also he is keeping an eye on this b5 pawn, which is soft for being. So it is pretty much balanced position for queen, and I think Ding should probably have gone to d7, but there were some lines in his head that provoke him to play this queen to c5 move. And after this, Nepo also did miss the opportunity of playing the best move in this position. He played the second best move, which is also not bad to such extent, but he would have been a bit more aggressive in this position. So he played queen g4 move. As we think, he definitely missed the move queen e5 here, right? So yeah, there can be some ideas with queen d7, and you can take some chances there. When you play queen d7, the bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, queen can't take because the knight is hanging. So yeah, it's a pretty much thing to explore and to evaluate from the Ding's perspective. But here Nepo plays knight to f3, attacking the queen. So here the best move for the queen is to go to e6 square, e6 square and offered queen trade, as the best thing black can do in this position is to exchange the queens, and after exchanging the queens this game is dead draw. But Nepo have some other plans. He avoided the queen exchange for the time being, and when knight takes, which is an inaccuracy as the computer is showing, so it's the inaccuracy for a particular line only. So if e takes, so the queen is attacked for the time being, and this was the most inaccurate move where the queen slide to f6 and queen to e4 just gain all the attention on the board, and it make the ding worried for his position. So after he defended his rook to b8, Nepo continues the attack with rook e2, and after that Ding played bishop to c5, and here comes the aggression from Nepo, as g4 was pretty much required in this position, as if Ding would be able to play b4, so after he takes with this pawn with the queen, if he takes this and this b takes c3, so it's very important to save this pawn. If he haven't played this move and he have played some random move and this position would occur, so here if this pawn would fall, then the position of the king side is pretty soft for white, so that would go on either way. So it's very important to play the move g4 in order to protect these two pawns, especially the f5 pawn. After the queen retreats to d8, queen comes to d5, the king came to f8, and white played the move king f1, which is, the computer is showing mistake, but it's a, from my perspective, is a great move. And here the black played to and fro the moves, and allow white to go g5, and after he takes on g5, it was a big mistake for Ding, and once he goes to the rook to g4, there's no proper way to save this pawn. Let's say if you play the move f6, which is very much natural in this move, so it immediately uses if immediately loses to the move knight h4. What a move! Let's say if you take this, right, so then what would be the killer blow to completely finish the black? It would be h6. Here the question is, if you take, then this is mate, right? So you can't take, so you have to close the rook file by playing g5. But now there are many moves which are winning in this position, but the best move to knock out black is rook takes to g6. So let's say how much resources does black have in this position. So computer is showing queen e8. So here there are many moves which are winning. The best one I think is queen to g8, and the king has only one move, and it's saying rook to g7, and once the king goes to d8, you could probably play h7, and it's pretty much dead lost for yeah, it's mate, right? So these were the things. So the Ding went on playing rook a1. So after the Nepo played king to e2, he gives a check from queen, he blocks with the knight, he slides the queen to d8, and he unpins the knight, he forces the queen trade, and after the queen trade, this endgame is completely winning for Nepo, as the move f6. Yes, you also need to know this thing, like there is only one move in the position which is completely winning for Nepo. So it's very much important for Nepo to find this move. Of course, he is in Nepo, so he would definitely find this move. But you can see how much intense this game is. So if you play any other move than f6, then it would be a draw. So when he played f6, the move was g6 from Ding, and after he takes and takes on g6 again, he took with the rook, and yeah, Ding played the move rook a2 to develop some counter attacking chance on this side of the board by taking on b2 and trying to push the pawn to become a queen, but it is too late. And once the king moves to g4 and rook takes and you play rook g6, you can pretty much see there's nothing Ding can do about this thing. And from here it can be a perfectly resignable position for Ding. So here the Ding resigned the game, but the game could have ended in this way. Uh, After, yeah, he pushes the pawn to f7, and yes, there's nothing much can do. So yeah, guys, this was the game analysis from my side, and I would love to hear your thoughts on my game analysis and anything you want to make a change in this analysis. Kindly let me know. Thank you.